Hey everyone, it's Amy Lynn Durham, and you're listening to Create Magic at Work. Create Magic at Work is on a mission to equip senior leaders with tools they need to be a true quantum leader and actually understand what that means. Improve employee engagement, retain top talent, and transform your workplace culture to have less drama and stress. So let's start making magic. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Create Magic at Work. Today, I have invited a very special guest on for the season 3 finale of the Create Magic at Work podcast. And it is Maria Mays. She is a well-being coach and teacher, and she is here to help us take our power back from anxiety. I actually have known Maria for, I'm trying to do the math in my head right here, calculating, and it's not adding up, but I'm going to say since freshman year in high school, so I won't give the math, but that's got to be over 30 years. And we are former doubles tennis partners in high school. So we definitely have a personal connection. We're longtime best friends. She ended up marrying my cousin. So that was a whole, I'm sure, journey in itself for her. Life journey, my crazy cousin. But more importantly, I have invited Maria on as a gift for all of you because she is a Chopra certified well-being coach, and she is also a breath coach. So she is certified in coaching, meditation, Ayurveda, and she's also a yoga teacher. And her specialty is training in mental health. And no surprise here that we are recording this episode during Mental Health Awareness Month. She uses neuroscience and the applied poly-vagal theory and breathwork, which we've kind of talked about that in a few other episodes. As a working mom who understands the juggle of career demands while caring for children and aging parents simultaneously, much of Maria's work is geared towards helping business owners, leaders, and others with high stress occupations achieve a baseline of inner peace. What a connection, because spiritual intelligence helps everyone try to maintain inner and outer peace, regardless of the situation they're in. This is going to be a special episode because what's going to happen is it's the season finale of season 3. So I need you to stay on with us. I need you to listen all the way to the end, because at the very end, Maria is going to lead us out with a take 5. And you'll learn what take 5 is. That's her business. And we're going to take 5 minutes to reset and try to access some of that inner peace. And she's going to give that gift to us today. And that is how we are going to end season 3 together, is by taking 5 and fading out from there. Maria, welcome to Create Magic at Work.
Hi, Amy. Thank you. I'm grateful to be here. Grateful to share this time with you. Grateful for your audience to give us this space in their day.
So I mentioned Take 5, and I mentioned a little bit about your journey. Tell us, deep and brief, how Take 5 came about and why it's important, why you geared it towards leaders, people with busy lives, juggling multiple things.
So your question there, deep and brief, that's why, right? So as leaders, as working parents, as, all those roles, if you think of all the different roles that you play, all the hats you wear, that's pretty demanding, not only on our time, but also on our energy level and on our peace. And so Take 5 is really geared to give back to those that are like myself and those that maybe find themselves stuck in unconscious habits as a result of ways to try to numb anxiety or to manage it in a different way. Those that don't feel they have time for themselves. They can't take time. I'm too busy. I don't have time. I can't take time. Well, at the end of the day, everybody can find 5 minutes. And even 5 breaths can change not only your mental perception in that moment, but change your physiology in terms of your respiration cycle, your heart rate, all those autonomic things. And so I just think that the world isn't going to get any easier, this physical world we're in, right? We've been through a lot in the last few years, and many of us had an opportunity to slow down as a result of the pandemic. I think that's was one of the silver linings, is an opportunity to slow down. And I think it's when we slow down that we realize the speed at which we've been running. But we get right back into it, right? As soon as the world opens up and things start to move again, we get back into the hustle, the bustle, the doing, the achieving, the producing, the performing, the caring for others. And so it's really important to take time in the day to step out of that and slow down just for 5 minutes.
I love that. Can you tell us more about the unconscious habits that you see that some people use as coping mechanisms?
Yeah,
if they're stressed out?
for sure. So we all have different ways of, I'm going to say, self-medicating. And for me, it was with wine, which is actually one of my passions. So what I've been putting together and started to offer in the last few years is a process of helping people become more mindful about their consumption. And so what happens is we don't even realize we're doing it. So I'll just paint you this picture. A long day at the office, running to get home, to get the kids to practice or whatever it might be, switching roles really quickly, right? Running, finally get home and have a few minutes. Well, to take the edge off, many of us, possibly like I did, would just unconsciously go to the wine fridge and pour a glass of wine and be sipping on a glass of wine before I went on the rest of my evening, not even consciously thinking about what I was doing. And I think as we look at whatever that unconscious habit might be, it starts with awareness, right? Looking at it. And then looking at how we can step into more presence and step into intention with our actions. And so a lot of that has to do with our karma being stored within the body and unlocking that, right? Because karma actually translates to action. It's a Sanskrit term. And what happens is we get caught in these cycles where there's an action that creates a memory, right? So I have a glass of wine at the end of a long day. It makes me feel a certain way. It takes the edge off, numbs some of the pain maybe I was feeling or the anxiety physically and mentally. And then that creates a desire to do that again. And that whole process, that action, memory, desire, is somewhat of an unconscious process, right? And when we're busy doing and not being, that's when we can find ourselves in those patterns. And so by cultivating self-awareness and kind of stepping into more presence with our actions, that's when we can step out of those and step out of those patterns.
So if I'm, just to elaborate on this, if I am running around busy and then I finally get home and I want to pour a glass of wine and sit back and relax, but if I'm continuously doing it, I like how you talk about karma. And it feels like it's like you're creating your own karma in that moment. You keep drinking the glass of wine every night. You're not consciously thinking about it. It's sort of like turning into an unconscious habit. And then it just kind of is. So tell me some things that you recommend for people to recognize when they're, I guess, forgetting who they are, what they stand for, getting lost in sort of that unconscious asleep feeling where you're just like, I'm home, I'm going to eat, I think of that with eating habits too, you know?
Absolutely.
I had a stressful day. I'm going to just sit here and zombie it out with this pint of ice cream.
Yeah. Whatever it is. Yeah. Whatever it is. Yeah. Or in some cases, it's excessive worry. We can get caught into the unconscious habit of dropping into that worry state where, again, it's a habit cycle.
So someone listening to this right now, they aren't sleeping good at night because they are worrying about the future. They have anxiety. We're recording this right now where there's constant news about the economy that doesn't feel really great. What is maybe their coping. It's an unhealthy coping mechanism where maybe they're just drinking at night or overeating. What's one thing they can do that can feel not overwhelming to shift out of that a little bit?
I'm going to start answering that question with a quote. It just triggered something in my mind. I just came out of a retreat over the weekend through Chopra and got to connect with my fellow teachers and a lot of folks who were there seeking to get some peace. And Timothy Shriver was a keynote. And it reminded me of a quote that he said, which is, "News programming is designed to rob you of your presence." And so what you just talked about with the news media, social media, whatever type of media you're getting in, all of these outside influences, right? The whole world externally that's out of our control is really, in this day and time, I believe, as he said, designed to rob us of our presence. So it starts by becoming present. And the fastest way to get present, the fastest way to step out of the thinking mind and into the feeling mind or the heart or true presence, true self, is to use the breath. So something your audience could do if they catch themselves in a moment, and the fact that they're catching themselves in that moment is huge. That self-awareness is the starting piece of building presence, right? It's becoming aware of when we find ourselves stepping out of that. And so just taking 5 slower than normal, deeper than normal breath cycles through the nose is a way to get present. Then when you become present, you can ask yourself, as Deepak said this weekend, am I aware? Am I aware in this moment? And then from there, what I like to do in the example of the wine, for example, part of what I teach is the intention behind the sip. So what's your intention with that bag of chips or that ice cream or that glass of wine? Is it to take the edge off? Is it to not feel? Is it to enjoy the taste and the flavors and to just celebrate being in this human body? I think the intention that we can set after we've arrived in presence can transform the outcome of whatever we are consuming.
Are you a passionate, high-achieving executive at the director level or above who feels like you've lost yourself? Are you feeling called to go to the next level of your leadership? Could you benefit from going beyond EQ and deepening your spiritual intelligence so you can solve your everyday problems to make better decisions for yourself and your team while maintaining inner peace? I can help you tap into your own inner magic and elevate your leadership in my private one-on-one coaching program. To apply to work with me, click Work with Amy in the show notes or go to createmagicatwork.net and click Work with Me. I look forward to seeing you. Yeah, so I want to expand on that. So the intention of when I order dessert at a restaurant or when I love champagne. So when I'm having I almost said a bottle, a glass of champagne, sometimes a bottle. Depends on, I guess, the day, like what we're talking about. But I think about feelings of guilt afterwards and what that does to us, you, me, when we beat ourselves up over whatever we've indulged in to cope with anxiety, stress, and overwhelm. And I think the most important thing that for me that you touched on is, what is the intention behind what I'm doing? Am I celebrating? Am I not going to feel guilty for toasting with my friends and having this amazing glass of champagne because I'm celebrating? Or am I putting a Band-Aid on something I need to address in my life? And am I shrinking away and using this as an unhealthy coping mechanism? I love how you mentioned the breath. We talk about that a lot in a lot of episodes of Create Magic at Work. And I do feel sometimes leaders in the workplace tend to overlook that can be a simple course correction in your day. So thank you for sharing all of those different ideas. But yeah, I wanted to add on that, like, it doesn't mean you don't eat the dessert. It doesn't mean you can't have the bag of chips. It doesn't mean you can't drink the glass of wine. It just means, what is your intention behind it? And lose the guilt. That's what I would say, right?
Absolutely. So there's that piece of, we became present after we had that self-awareness, right? Allowed us to become present. But the other piece then is that self-compassion, not only for when we're not present, but also for when if you can cultivate self-compassion, which is a skill they don't teach in school. God, I wish they would, right? But in cultivating self-awareness and self-compassion, that allows you to then be truly present. And it's a really important piece. And that's coming back to saying your comment on, you still have the cake, you still have the wine, you still have the chips, maybe not a full bag, maybe a bag, who knows, whatever you're desiring, but with that intention. I don't have any data to support this yet, with the exception I have one. I have one sample set, one individual. I met a beautiful lady from Denmark this weekend, and we were just chatting over dinner after the closing talk that Deepak did about some things. And I had shared a little bit about this process. And I ran into her the next day, and she's like, I'm so glad that, I ran into you. I wanted to tell you it works. Like, what works? And she said, your process. So I decided after dinner to go out, and I wanted champagne. And she had shared earlier that she had actually found herself in a habit where she was drinking like 4 to 5 drinks an evening at night, right? When she got home. And she said, I really wanted a glass of champagne. So I went out and I ordered one, and I went out on the patio, and it was a huge moon. And I decided I would just set an intention to be with this moon and to enjoy the champagne and to celebrate my experience here and to have gratitude. And she said, and I had the glass of champagne, and then I decided I would order another one, and the other one came, and I went and I tasted it, and I had a little bit, and then I decided I didn't want any more. It wasn't the same. But that first one, with that intention being set, was a completely different experience. And so that's one data point that I have, and I'm looking to build more of these. But I believe that, so first of all, one thing that Ayurveda teaches, and what I love about it, is that nothing is off limits. So anything can be a nectar to the body mind, or anything can be a poison, right? So a lot depends on our individual makeup, but a lot depends on, I believe, our intention. And so I believe that we can consume something. In this case, we're talking about wine, or, chips, or cake, or whatever it might be, coffee. We can consume that same thing. I believe if I have a glass of wine in front of me right now, which I don't, I have a glass of water because it's 10 in the morning. But if I drink this glass of wine without stating an intention, which oftentimes we do, but here's the thing, guys, even if you don't state it outwardly, verbally, there's always an intention, even if it's not a conscious verbalized intention, right? So if I just go on my day and I have an unstated intention of taking the edge off, versus if I stop, pause with my breath, state that intention, that same glass of wine, I believe, has a different effect on us physiologically. So, and someday I hope to bring you the data after getting more further into this journey to prove that.
Yeah, that is really interesting. It makes sense. Michael Pollan's conscious eating and all of those different things. It ties into that, where you're honoring what you're putting in your body, basically, at the end of the day. So how does a leader in the workplace take all of this information, breath, intention setting before we consume something? How can they use this knowledge or to help their team reduce their anxiety at work?
Yeah. So I think one way is in leveraging themselves. They can be the example, right? They can be the energy that then everyone else regulates with, right? And one really practical way to do this, and I've done this before I even stepped into this world of well-being focus and helping others. Formally, I was doing it kind of informally within my world, within my software career. And so stepping into a meeting, let's say a strategy meeting or a board meeting or whatever it might be, and just taking a few moments to say, let's just take a few collective breaths together. Even if you're not ready to do that, starting with as you step in, just taking a moment to take a few breaths, slower than normal, deeper than normal, and then setting your intention for the meeting. So I have seen it transform. One, you are putting yourself in a position of vulnerability in doing so by saying, let's just take a few breaths together. And what happens physiologically after we do that, even just for a few minutes, even just a few breaths, is we'll drop ourselves out of that mobility, movement state of the sympathetic nervous system into that more relaxed state of the parasympathetic nervous system. And that will allow you then to step into the conversation without maybe the baggage that you came in with, because we all carry pretty big bags around. And when we're bringing those physically with us, energetically with us into a meeting, it can cloud the ability to really produce an outcome that's beneficial to all, right? And so if we can drop some of the bags at the door by using our breath, it has the potential to really transform the outcome in a positive way.
Yeah. So I envision that some people may not feel vulnerable enough to be like, hey, everyone, let's set an intention and like start the meeting with like a breath. But what I would recommend is you can still do it and you can just say, hey, I want everyone to make sure they're paying attention today and that you're all present here with what we need to focus on. So let's start by taking a few breaths. If you feel more comfortable using like that language.
Totally.
What I want to do now for everyone listening to take us, your company is Take 5. Mm-hmm. And I love the name because it just implies that all you have to do is take a 5-minute break. And Maria has created these 5-minute break videos where you can stretch and do breath breaks. And she literally did the work for you by doing the 5-minute videos, and all you have to do is watch them if you join Take 5. Mm-hmm. So as a gift, Maria is going to lead us out of the episode in a Take 5 exercise. And you can actually, if you want, pause, rewind, whatever. You could even use this as a kickoff to one of your meetings. Just make sure you check out Maria's links in the show notes and go to Take 5 and access some of her videos and join Take 5. Do you have anything else you want to add on how people can get a hold of you before you lead us in a Take 5?
Sure. So yeah, I appreciate that, Amy. My website's take5.health. So the domain is .health rather than .com. Just a little reminder that we always need to be focusing on our whole health, our whole well-being. I'm at Take 5 Health without the dot on all the social networks. And yeah, stop by. I have some free resources available. I'm getting ready to launch a Chakras and Chardonnay, which is a beautiful online micro course, as well as I'm now offering virtual workplace stress management workshops and mindful wine tastings. So you can actually have this experience anywhere you're at and make it a lot of fun and encourage to people to be there. Sometimes you can get them in the door with an offer of a little wine tasting too, right? But think about this as we go into this. I want you to think about it, how this might pivot the energy in a board meeting or in a strategy meeting, because I do lead these sometimes virtually as well, just leading in. But think about something like this in the board meeting. Think about this type of activity, this 5 minutes, as you transition from work hat to home hat, so that you can become more present for your loved ones when you enter the door. There's so many opportunities to use these in different times in our life to transition into that state of presence. So
awesome. Thanks, Maria. Okay, so hopefully everyone stay on. Maria's going to lead us out of the episode with our own personal Take 5 as a gift. Maria, take it away.
Sounds good. So You might be driving right now. I do a lot of my podcasts listening when I'm driving, or you might be unloading the dishwashes, doing some paperwork, whatever it is. If you're driving, keep your eyes open, please. But you can certainly follow along with us. If you're in the middle of doing something right now, stop the doing. Just take this 5 minutes with us. And so just sit down if you can and gently close the eyes. And if you're driving and your eyes are really alert, I just encourage you to maybe take a yawn. Everybody can just yawn right now. And just notice as you yawn how the eyes get a little softer, a little sleepier. So just try to keep them soft if you're in a situation where you can't close them or don't feel comfortable closing them. And then I want you to just bring your awareness to whatever part of your body is touching the floor. So likely your feet. Just feel that floor underneath you. You might have socks and shoes, and then the floor underneath those. If you're in the car, the tires are touching the ground, the pavement. And just for a moment, think about what's underneath that. So underneath that flooring, the foundation, the topsoil, deeper soil. And if you could reach deeper, that bedrock, just allow it to offer what it can for you in this moment. Structure, stability, security, and maybe safety. And then invite your awareness to come up to the base of your spine. And just notice if you can take that grounding sensation from the earth up to the base of the spine. And then I invite you to lengthen there. So just start to stretch out that low spine from tailbone to about the navel. And then from the navel to about the center of the heart. See if you can imagine those vertebrae just getting more space in between them. So it's as if the discs themselves are stretching out. And notice if that allows the shoulders to drop a little bit further onto the back in a more neutral position. And I just want you to bring your awareness to the top of the shoulders now. And notice, what are you carrying there? Let's just release a little bit of that weight, that responsibility, those to-dos, those concerns. We're going to do that with our breath. So bring your awareness to your breath. And then as we inhale, draw those shoulders up towards the ears. And as you exhale, allow those shoulders to come back down. Let's do that a few more times. So as we inhale, shoulders come up. And as you exhale, just releasing, dropping some of the weight you're carrying there. Let's do one more like that. Shoulders come up towards the ears, inhaling. And exhaling, just releasing the tension of the day. And now just allow that awareness to just come to the center of the chest, the heart center. And I just want you to deepen your breath a little bit with me. And so just take a normal breath cycle into that space, coming out of the thinking mind into the feeling mind, into the heart. And we'll just inhale for 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, inhaling, allowing all that beautiful oxygen to rejuvenate our cells. And exhaling, releasing all that waste through carbon dioxide, leaving the body. Again, inhaling and exhaling, just releasing any worry. Inhaling. And as you exhale, just releasing fear. Again, inhaling. And as you exhale, just releasing any doubt you're carrying. And now just still with the eyes closed, releasing the control of the breath, but just resting here. Just resting in your wholeness, resting in your enoughness, resting in being. And just noticing how you're feeling in this moment, this presence, and how you can take this presence into the rest of your day, to all you interact with. And then slowly opening your eyes whenever you're ready.
Wow. Thank you, Maria, for leading us out of season 3 in that way. The Create Magic at Work podcast is taking its own version of 5. And we're going to have a bit of a pause before season 4 launches. So I think this was a fitting end to season 3. And I encourage anybody listening, I mean, this is here for you forever. Go back, listen, do the 5 minutes in a meeting, play it out loud for your team. And Maria's right there to walk you through it. Use the podcast to your advantage. Share it with someone that you think might benefit. And check out additional resources in the show notes. So Maria, thank you for being a guest on the Create Magic at Work podcast.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. See you all in season 4. Thank you. Hey everyone, it's Amy here. Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Create Magic at Work. And please come back often and subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Keep joining us for more exciting episodes where we help you transform workplace culture to systems that create less drama and stress and have high productivity and profitability. You can get your own tools for the workplace at createmagicatwork.net. I have a new Create Magic at Work, the journal, that just released, and it invites you to reflect about different themes for work in your career. Each section of the journal contains a topic, an affirmation, and 2 prompt questions to help you journal your thoughts. Topics are like inspiring others, mentorship, expansion, and productivity. Connect with me at createmagicatwork.net. Also connect with me on LinkedIn under Amy Lynn Durham. Sending magic to everyone, and see you next time.